Welcome back to another episode of the Student Athlete Sessions. Today we're joined by Ryan Chang. He is a rising senior baseball team at Carleton College in Minnesota. Ryan, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Carl.
Uh, Ryan, I think you know this is part of a recent trend to have current D3 athletes on here. Couple weeks ago, we had uh, a soccer player, women's soccer player on who had just kind of finished up the recruiting process and was able to give some great insights there. I'm excited for you to be able to talk with the listeners tonight and just share a different perspective, which is what you just finished up. This is the junior year internship, and kind of like how an athlete balances, all the things that come along with that. So excited to get in, but maybe just give us a little view into where you are right now and what stage of the internship you're.
Sure. Um, Hi everybody. Again, Carl, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here and talk about my experiences. As Carl said, I'm a rising senior who plays baseball at Carleton College. I just finished up, or I'm about to finish up, a summer internship at Dodge and Cox, which is an asset management firm in San Francisco. This summer, I've worked on the vendor management team doing data analytics, which has always been a career goal and passion of mine is working with data. And that has just given me so much great insight into both the asset management industry, but great experience working with data and using that data to drive business insights. Currently, I am in the interview process for a full-time role at Dodge and Cox, and so managing that as well. Otherwise, just trying to finish up the summer strong and hopefully leave a good enough impact for them to want me back next summer.
Yeah, it's exciting. Things are wrapping up, and um, take everyone into the process. Like for any recruits listening to this, thinking about, okay, well, obviously I'm going to college. I want to get a good job afterwards. Like, how early did that process start for you? Interviewing, just thinking about the internships to begin with.
Yeah, I personally started a little bit later than I think a lot of people advise you to start. In terms of internships, I first started thinking about them at all my sophomore year, and towards the end of my sophomore year, I started to realize that I kind of should have an internship at that point, and I realized that I hadn't. And so towards the end and middle and end of my sophomore year, I started kind of networking like crazy and adding random people on LinkedIn and reaching out to connections and talking with anybody and everybody that I really could to basically just find a job and find an internship. I think I figured that no matter what the job was, if it was, an irrelevant company in a relevant space and gave me good experience, I would do anything. And so that actually led kind of randomly to an internship at a Toyota dealership where I sold cars for most of the summer. And so, yeah, I would say, a lot of people are, and especially nowadays, recruiting starts so early and the interview process is so grueling. But at the end of the day, any experience is what you make of it and can be great experience.
For sure. Yeah, it's good perspective. And I mean, in a lot of ways, there are comparisons, I think, to the college athletics recruiting process and the internship process. It is, instead of finding, networking with coaching connections, it's networking with career connections. And
Yeah.
but what did you maybe take from your recruiting process that led you to Carleton, um, and kind of apply it in this college search?
And the college search or the job search?
Sorry, in the job search after
Gotcha.
since
Yeah.
you've been in college.
Yeah. The I would say communication is so key. I remember when I was starting the recruiting process, that was also at a similar time, but in my high school career. So around that sophomore year mark was when I started researching schools and reaching out to coaches and sending so many emails. And I think that was so crucial of getting that exposure and um, the more coaches that I could have some sort of exposure with, whether it was just, they saw my email once and never even read it and just saw my name on the email, or we went back and forth a couple times and they saw a couple YouTube videos that I sent them. But um, I would say that communication aspect was just fully transferred over in my job search of getting in touch with as many people as possible as early as I could, no matter how strong that initial connection was. Maybe it was simply an ad on LinkedIn and they never responded to a DM that I sent them, or um, maybe and hopefully they would pick up a phone call and have a quick 10-15 minute conversation. And that exposure is so key to get exposed to kind of their companies, but also any other connections that they might have.
Yeah, for sure. And what did you see as, you're sending all these emails, sometimes you don't get a response. Like what did you find helped? Like what actually moved the
Yeah,
needle? Like how did you get a coach from maybe corresponding over email a little bit and maybe making some traction there to actually getting a substantive offer and then
yeah,
eventually deciding to go to Carleton?
yeah. First, it was persistence. I think persistence is so key because, like you say, so many of these coaches, and probably more than half for me, didn't respond to my emails. No matter how many I sent them, once a week or every couple of days, just no response. And that's kind of expected. So just keep at it and don't be discouraged by lack of communication. What helped me with gain traction with some coaches and then ultimately Carleton was somehow getting connected with a current or former player really helped me. And so through a mutual friend, I was able to get in touch with a former Carleton baseball player who had kind of been that middleman communicator between myself and our former head coach. And through that the former head coach was actually a notoriously bad communicator, and so he had actually never responded to any of my emails. But I think through this former student athlete, he started looking at my stuff, looking out for me at the couple of showcases that I went to, and after talking to him in person, I realized that a lot of them actually do pick up on your emails and do kind of start to recognize your name and where you're from, but either don't have the time or forget to respond. And so having that sort of middleman for me to really just connect the dots finally ultimately led to a more formal introduction to the head coach and ultimately the offer.
Right. Yeah. And so much, I mean, again, just strengthens the connection that we made earlier about college recruiting and then real world job recruiting because, oftentimes jobs in the professional sense come from, connections and warm
Yeah.
introductions. And you're going to be much more likely to have your, cover letter or resume or whatever it is pulled from the stack of hundreds if
Yeah.
someone, like you said, knows your name or um, has that recommendation that is pushing you to the top of the list. So I think, yeah, for
Definitely.
any recruits listening, like maybe you can't find someone like Ryan's situation was pretty lucky. He had someone he knew that, he was able to find that went to the school that he was interested in. But I still think the takeaway can be applied. Like if it hadn't been a Carleton grad, like get advice on them on what they did or like
Yep.
who you think they should talk to or what camps worked well. Like they can still be knowledgeable even if it isn't that like direct line to the coach.
Definitely. And I'd advise just be resourceful, find any way possible to get those connections and to find them. I got lucky because that mutual connection was kind of thrown onto my lap. But if at your high school, if you get in touch with maybe a college coordinator or professional and ask them if there's any former students who have gone to colleges that you're interested in, or maybe they'll know a former student athlete that they can connect you with, or utilize your parents, utilize friends, and there's just so many connections out there that you never get exposed to if you're not actively searching for them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you grew up in Alameda, California, and now you're at school in
Yeah.
Northfield, Minnesota. So it's like that's not something you're just going to stumble upon it unless you seek it out. But I think it's, it's part of the reason we love to bring athletes like you on is just seeing how every individual recruit approaches that process differently, and how, you know um yeah, I think people end up finding the D3 school that's right for them. So yeah, your process was a good one, and it's clearly paying dividends now. It seems like you've refined it for the job search, and
Yeah.
it's working out for you.
Definitely.
um well, nice. So yeah, internship is wrapping up. You're about to head back to school. You are, let me get this right. You're an economics and statistics double major.
Correct.
What does your senior year look like? Maybe what are some of your goals? What are you trying to do in the classroom? What are you trying to do on the field?
Yeah. From an academic standpoint, just finish off the 4 years strong. Um, as a double major, and Carleton has kind of a senior thesis slash project program where every one of our 3 terms I'll be enrolled in these classes and working on these senior comprehensive exercises. So academically this year is looking pretty tough and busy, and so I think that'll be tough and that'll be a grind, but should be fun as it's going to start to feel more kind of real world application in these classes and in these exercises. And so I'm excited to see kind of where my projects go and what kind of data and analyses that I'm going to be performing for both econ and stats. Athletically, I'm actually currently just rehabbing some injuries, and so a recent hip surgery and I have a knee surgery scheduled um, in September in about a month. So for at least the first part of my year, um, it'll be rehabbing that. So physical therapy, making sure I'm staying in shape, even just like weightlifting upper body. If I can't move my legs, I think will be key, especially because as the days start to fly by and we get closer to the baseball season, which starts in the spring, I need to just maximize and be ready to hit the ground running when I'm fully cleared and when I'm ready to go. So that I don't fall behind in those couple of months before our official season starts.
Yeah. And that's, for everyone who's listening, it's such a, I think we all have this vision of college athletics with like the D1 level trainers and
Yeah.
locker rooms and like, people giving you a schedule for rehab. Like, I'm guessing, Ryan, based on, my situation, if you have an injury, most of the times it's on you to get down to the training room, do your routine, and
Yeah.
maybe the trainer will be there in the room, but they probably are tending to other people who are fall athletes who are in season, and you probably have to do it yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. And this is an injury that has kind of been nagging me. So even last year, I remember just to get ready to play through it and during the season, um, every day it's going to hit the gym, no matter, how hard I was going, I was there, whether it was just stretching or doing physical therapy exercises, but just being ready and fully on me to kind of be there, exactly to your point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wish you a speedy recovery, and best of luck with the rehab process. I think that's going to be, you know, the more you can take care of it now, I'm sure the more you'll thank yourself later in
Yeah.
life. But um, you're a, you split time, you pitch some, you play third base. Uh, when you get back, any kind of targets you're trying to hit, averages, fielding percentage, any goals maybe for the
Yeah,
team? What are you thinking?
there's a lot. And there's so much that I want to think about, but I think first and foremost, I want to be there playing. And so, like we just talked about, the rehab and um, kind of coming back from these injuries is number one for me right now. Assuming that all goes well, and hopefully it does, I think again on the health standpoint, just staying healthy throughout the season and actually being there play. I would love to, you know, improve on my averages and fielding percentages and everything, but obviously I can't do that if I'm not actually on the field playing. Um, with that being said, a goal of mine has always been just improve every year. And so whether that's on in the stat sheet or how I am as a teammate or my work ethic, just building year over year. So in that sense, I hope to just play well and um, be a good leader, whether I'm actually playing or not, and at the very least, help develop some of the underclassmen as they come up and have more time than I do left in their college careers.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, I think you and I had the chance to speak before we, recorded this podcast, and you told me about the just kind of, the coach who recruited you is not the coach who's there anymore.
Yeah,
So and I think, yeah, becoming a senior, like, you have now helped laid the foundation for what those guys beyond you are going to get to experience, and what Coach Alec Holcomb is going to, hopefully try to build in the future with Carleton baseball. But yeah, what do you think? Like, if you could leave the incoming class, so that would be the class of what, 2029 now? Is that?
oh wow. Um, I think the freshman this year will be 2029.
Yeah. So if you
That's
could leave the
crazy to think
class of
about.
2029 with anything,
Yeah,
what would that be as a senior leader?
yeah. Um, work hard and have fun doing it. Um, I think Coach Holcomb is phenomenal. He's done a great job of just taking this team kind of in a rough situation and slowly building us back up and making us better. And the past couple years have been rough in terms of just statistics and record and win loss. But I think you can see just as he gets more and more comfortable on the field, off the field recruiting, um, kind of in his relationships with the players, I think the program will just continue to build on itself and improve. And that's something that comes with the players working hard and playing hard, but also enjoying it because I think, you can be the hardest worker in the room, but if you're not having fun out there and you don't actually want to be out there, I think it shows. And I think that's something that we've done pretty well at Carleton is, especially with our baseball team, is when it's time to work, we work and um, we work hard, but I think each and every one of us wants to be out there and wants to be playing and wants to be a part of that team environment and not just, play for themselves to shine and have the best stats or whatever. So, yeah, if you can continue to contribute to that culture, uh, to whoever is listening in your current team and a future team, I think that is so powerful.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's a gift. It's like to have the opportunity to be a team leader, to be a captain, and like go through that experience. Not many people in life get to, have the responsibility to coach up the next generation, and then also get to appreciate your work afterwards. You'll be able to
Yeah.
be a fan after you graduate, and um, that's a whole, different. There's playing is rewarding, but I think, like, seeing the program grow and develop, and
Yep.
where it'll go in the future will also be uh, be really enjoyable, I'm sure. Um, I saw on the staff you have another Alec Kotler, or Kotler. I'm not sure how you say his name, but he, class of
Yeah.
2022. What's it like having, like, he's an infielder coach, which is covers your position. What is it like to have someone who, I don't know, did you guys overlap for 1 year, or did he
We
graduate
did
right?
not. He graduated the year
Okay.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it like what has it been like to learn from him, and, just have him on the staff since you've been there?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know. It must be outdated. He, I think he coached for the first 2 years of my Carleton career and then went off to med school. So he's actually no longer coaching at Carleton, but it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. Definitely nice to have someone so young, but also our coach was 25 when he started. And so overall, our staff was super young and relatable. And I think that could kind of that contributed to our culture of, we weren't getting yelled at by a 60-year-old who had been coaching for 40 years. It was like, this is a guy who had just gone through the process and his baseball career so recently. And so, kind of from an understanding perspective, those young coaches kind of knew what we were going through. And I think that translates to them being able to better support us, whether, they see something going on off the field, school related, or just knowing what it's like to be in our shoes was helpful and definitely relatable for them. And I think it just contributes to an energy on the team of having a young guy I remember he, in his last game, and he's like a 23, 24-year old, and he's coaching first base for us, and he knows that the following week he's like flying out somewhere to go to med school. And so um, just having someone who will in their last game start yelling at the umpires for pretty much no reason to get ejected, just for the fun of it, and just to show us that he's one of us and he's part of the team, and he has our back. So that was definitely a fun experience, having such a recent grad on the team.
And just getting himself thrown out right before school. I love
Yeah.
that. It's a great story.
Yeah.
Are there any other stories, or like what do you look back on? Obviously, the injuries are no fun, but like, what do you look back on, heading into your senior year and think that you'll take away after you graduate? What are those moments?
Yeah. There's so many. Um, I'm trying to pinpoint one, and there's so many both on the field and off the field that um, looking back at just comprehensively, like the experience was just incredible. On the field, I just kind of brought to all of the games where we're maybe down, or they're close games, and slowly crawling back and winning it in extra innings or walking it off. And those are the memories that I don't think I'll ever forget. Of I remember, I think twice now, two of my teammates, because we play double headers in baseball, so on a Saturday we'll go play two games against the school, and on two different doubleheader days, the same hitter has walked off both games for us now. Two of my close friends, and so those memories of just when the dugout is flooding out onto the field, and the pure joy that we're all experiencing, and the hard fought wins that we were fighting for all day, and um, kind of having that gratification at the end is just so memorable. um, Jumping around with your boys and what becomes a family after those long, hard days is just incredible. And so I think those are the days and the games and the moments that um, I'll just look back, maybe even in 20 years, and say, wow, not many people can say they experienced that in college.
Yeah, no, true. It's a rare thing, and it's even rare to last 4 years. Like, and get to, like you said, build up those relationships to the point that they do feel like family. And um,
Yeah.
what about off the field? Like, do you guys, obviously, you're a double major. Carleton's got some pretty intense academics. I think a question we get from recruits a lot is like, how do you manage it? Do you have study hall? Do you have, like, professors helping you out? But like, what does that look like for a Carleton athlete?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Carleton, but also this can be applied to most, if not all, D3 schools, and just utilizing all the help that you can get, and whether that's meeting with professors during their office hours, or with TAs during kind of their TA sessions. Those are always super helpful, especially in season when you know after class I'm running off to go to a game, and I'm at the game all day, or my weekends are taken away traveling, and so those type of support, that type of support is so helpful for me, um, to kind of build on my understanding of whatever material in class that I'm working on. Other than that, I think as an athlete, you slowly and sometimes even subconsciously just start building these study habits and these time management skills, to the point where after like my freshman year, I kind of just got used to the system of knowing and blocking off, being able to block off time and say, this is a day that I don't have practice and that I don't have any games. And so I can just, um, you know, set aside some time to study or work on any projects that I have and just get stuff done. At Carleton, it's amazing being on a team because, um, it's such a close community, especially at such a small school. And so, even in those times where I'm not kind of grinding academics, just being around people who are in the same boat as you, to hang out with and to bond with, and um, just to be around is amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's the NCAA has some outdated statistics, but I think the discipline that you're talking about shows up in the stats that are available, which I believe say that you know athletes have a higher graduation rate. They have a higher like rate of reporting satisfaction with the college experience and like engagement on campus, and so I think all those things are just kind of shown through in what you are describing in your situation, and hopefully will be reassuring for any kids out there listening who want to play college sport that even at a school like Carleton that's got some demanding academics, like even for a double major, it's doable, and it almost like you said becomes second nature as
Yeah,
just you develop your own structure, you figure out what works, and I'm sure those things go on to help you in your internships and your career
definitely.
beyond.
Yeah. And and
So
and I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes it's hard, and sometimes, especially earlier on in my college career, it was working on the bus on the weekends to the games. And sometimes it's scrambling or having to put in late nights to meet a deadline. And so I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I will say, over time, again, as you get used to it and as you start building those habits and those time skills, it all just gets better and better to the point where last year, it felt like everything was just under control, even during season. Obviously, if I had a more demanding project or assignment, that would require extra time. But otherwise, it's like I know what I'm doing. I know how to allocate my time, and so I'm not hanging out all night before the night before test anymore. I get my stuff done, and that opens up time for me to do what I want to do. Whether that's hang
right.
out with people or whatever it is.
Yeah, actually enjoy it when you're there instead of
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
stressing and always have
Yeah.
something on the back burner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, nice. Well, let's change gears here. I want to circle back to kind of your recruiting process, and uh,
Sure.
we build a recruiting list every year at D3 Direct, and the goal is help recruits just find D3 focused camps in their area or for their sport. And baseball is one we get questioned a lot about. I know we covered kind of your emailing strategy and how you
Yeah.
were following up, but like when it came to camps or if you were playing travel ball showcases, like what events worked for you that helped you get in front of the right college coaches?
Yeah. Yeah. So I went to two camps that were advertised as, I think, high academic, D3 type schools. So there were also, some JUCO, some D1 schools there, but kind of the high academic type of schools were attending these camps. And the two that I attended were Head First and Show Ball. And I think what kind of made these camps stand out, or what is super helpful for the student athletes, is these two specifically had set times where all of the coaches would kind of just scatter in the outfield. or across the baseball field, and um, you had the opportunity to just walk around and talk to them. And obviously, you could do whatever, you could skip the time, but that time to talk to a coach, to meet them face to face, shake their hand, ask them whatever questions, learn more about their school, was so valuable, both for kind of you to be introduced to these types of schools, but from a recruiting standpoint, for you to be kind of introduced and shown to them. And I think that's why that communication and emailing is so important before you even go to these camps, because a lot of times, you show up and you want them to know somewhat who you are before you meet them. Because then, you've emailed them 5 times leading up to the camp. I show up, I meet the coach, and in the back of their mind, they say, "Oh, Ryan, that name sounds familiar. This position or his hometown sounds a little bit familiar to me." And then maybe he goes after the camp and looks me up, or during the camp, maybe I play well and he tries to find me after the day. So look out for, at least in the baseball context, those camps that put on those kind of set times for you to meet the coaches. And in my personal experience, that was how I first met the Carleton head coach in person. That was when, we first talked about both myself, but also my performance. I remember I met him at a head first camp, and one that I played pretty decent in. I didn't do anything crazy, but I had a solid performance. And because he had kind of heard my name before, and especially through that mutual connection. But after that conversation was when he that night said, send me your transcript, send me your grades, your SAT score. And that led to an offer to visit Carleton for a weekend, to see what Carleton was like, go to a couple classes. And then when I was there, that was when the offer came.
Mm, mm. And how did you approach the visit? Like, you know, what were you thinking going in? Was it an overnight? What were kind of your goals, or what did you want? How did you want to approach that?
Yeah, my visit it wasn't overnight. It was 2 days, one night. I went in thinking I'm just gonna go have fun, experience what I experience, and just kind of go with the flow. I didn't want to kind of be stuck in like a mold of what I wanted the weekend to look like or the week to look like. I remember on the way there, my dad and I ran into some flight troubles, and so we got in super late. I think we checked into the hotel at like 3 or 4 in the morning,
Mm,
and I was supposed to go to an 8:30 a.m. class the next day. And so just getting through that adversity was tough, but through that, learning as much as I could about the school, and really seeing if it was a place that I could see myself spend the next 4 years of my life in. Um, you know, my host was that kind of family friend that I'd known previously, but he was great. And everything that I've seen since then of kind of hosts having prospective students stay with them is great. Is he was introducing me to all of his friends and everybody that we walked by. Hey, meet my prosby. This is Ryan. He's just visiting for the couple of days, and just meeting so many people and hearing them talk gives you such a great sense of what actually going to this school will feel like. And that was huge for me. So the first day I remember I went to a couple classes, and yeah, and I was tired. I had gotten whatever 4 or 5 hours of sleep the night before, but I did my best to sit through the classes, stay engaged, even though I had no idea what they were talking about. But did my best to kind of just put myself in a current student's shoes,
yeah.
but then also just have fun. I remember like that night, it was like the first Friday of the fall term. And so he took me out to a party. So I got to experience my first college party with him. The next day, what the baseball team does on a Saturday morning. And so that was cool. And it's overall just such a great experience to get exposed to Carleton and what it would be like.
Hmm. Yeah, and to your point, you get the best sense possible by not only just like talking to students and hearing what they have to say about their experience, but also just the feel and like, do you feel
Yeah,
welcome? Does the team seem to care about you? Or like, are you just another recruit who's just rolling,
yeah,
rolling through the
definitely.
process? And how do they treat their academics when you're in the class?
Yeah,
All that stuff. Like, I think, especially when you're going from the West Coast to the Midwest, it's like there's a lot that's going to be different, and the only
hmm,
way to truly understand it is to be there. And um, it's also a great way to show your commitment. I'm sure the coach, like, it's one thing to get the offer, but then to make the effort, battle the travel adversity, and like
yeah,
still show up. I think it goes a long way. I was talking to a D3 football coach recently, and he was saying, I was like, "Who do you offer?" And he was like, "The people that visit get offers."
yeah,
That was his takeaway, or his advice to recruits. So going there, making the extra mile, like traveling the extra mile, really goes a long way with the coaching staff.
yeah, definitely. And um, I'm trying to remember because I know sometimes it can be financially tough or logistically hard to get out to a school, but doing the best you can to even if you can't visit, to get in touch with the coach and with current players and maybe ask to sit in if they have any virtual classes. I know that's always helpful and gives you a similar feel if you can't make it out in person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely not feasible for everyone, and but I think as much as you can, like even if it's a local thing, like maybe
Yeah.
you aren't considering a school in California, but for you, like trying to make it to a school down in Southern California just to see a game and like get a sense of what the environment's like, and um
Yeah.
like is the level of fit, maybe if you can't check out the school in particular. But
Yeah, I remember
it's
leading up and during that summer watching some of Carleton's games when they're live streamed and just seeing, do I think I could fit in and play at this school, and kind of comparing that to the current level that I was facing on my travel ball team. And so exactly to your point, I think whatever you can to get that exposure is goes such a long way.
yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's close it out here. I think any kind of final thoughts on Carleton baseball, or just yeah, the experience of being a D3 athlete. Anything you'd kind of
Yeah,
pass along to
sure.
the
Um,
next gen?
I have I have loved it. It has been so rewarding and so fun, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to just be able to continue to play and be a part of sports. I know not not a lot of people can say that they played a college sport, and so having that opportunity and just cherishing it while I can. Um, for for every you know for anybody going through the recruiting process or starting it, just keep at it, be persistent with it, and if it's something that you truly love and that you want to do, um, and play at that next level, go for it and just keep working at it. Um, if you keep working at it and you start multiplying the days together, they all the pieces just start falling into place. Um, but also, don't kill yourself for it. I think it was huge for me is there became a point where I could have done more or maybe reached out more or trained harder, but going to that next level, I just would have stopped liking it and stopped enjoying it. And so don't get to that point. And if you need to pursue like a club sport at a school, I think that's also a great option. But overall, just keep at it and love what you're doing, and it'll all work out.
Yeah, and that's a great segue to the last question we always ask every guest. If you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self
Oh man.
and give yourself some advice, what would you say?
Yeah, it's funny because my 18-year-old self, it doesn't even feel that long ago. But
It's true.
because I'm 20 now, and so just a few years ago. But I would tell him just enjoy it. it's, it'll go quicker than you think. And I'm sure you've heard that so many times before, but it's so true. Like we were just talking about, I can't imagine I'm already a senior. I have one season left and I'm already thinking about full-time jobs. So enjoy it when you're in the setting and context that you can. Just have fun. Just, love it.
Yeah. All right. We'll cut it there. Ryan, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right. This has been another episode of the Student Athlete Sessions. Make sure to follow along with Ryan and the Carleton Knights this spring season as they take the field. We will be posting this podcast same places we always do, Spotify, Apple. You can get it wherever you listen. If you enjoy the program, we always appreciate it. If you leave a rating, leave a review, it helps us grow and helps this get out to more people. And also, we are open to recommendations. So if there's someone D3 athlete with a cool story out there that you think we should have on, definitely let us know. But yeah, again, this has been Ryan Chang, rising senior, Carleton College, Northfield, Minnesota. Ryan, thanks again, man. Have a great night.
Thanks.